Cliff Richard's life has always been a story of contrasts. He had the looks, the fame, and the love of millions, yet one thing eluded him: marriage. Despite a career that brought him international recognition, his personal life remained a mystery. For decades, fans speculated about why the man who sang so beautifully about love never seemed to find it in his own life. Now at 85, Cliff Richard has shared insights into the pressures of fame, his commitments to faith, and the quiet truth he has carried for more than half a century. Beneath the songs and the public persona, there was a man torn between two worlds: the stage and the life he never truly lived. The sudden rise to fame. Cliff Richard's journey to fame began in the late 1950s, a time when Britain was still recovering from the scars of war. The country was yearning for color and joy, and out of this atmosphere emerged a young Harry Webb, soon to be known as Cliff Richard. At just 18, he became an overnight sensation, with his voice symbolizing hope, youth, and a new era in British pop music. But the sudden fame wasn't as easy to navigate as it seemed. Overnight, he went from being a shy teenager in Hertfordshire to a national idol. The intense pressure of public attention and expectations was overwhelming for the young man who still lived with his parents. Navigating fame, control, and self-preservation. As Cliff Richard's fame skyrocketed, he found himself constantly under scrutiny. The media and producers wanted an image that could rival Elvis Presley: clean, yet daring; charming, yet safe. Cliff quickly realized that control was the only way to preserve himself. He studied his interviews carefully, polished his public persona, and avoided scandal at all costs. Every action, every word was measured. This wasn't because he was shy, but because he wanted to protect his sense of self. Fame had come too quickly, and Cliff sensed that every piece of himself given away in the process would never return. This self-discipline became his foundation, a necessary tool for survival in the entertainment industry. A promise to himself, a life of discipline. While other stars were living out loud, Cliff Richard was methodically creating boundaries between his public and private lives. He understood the intoxicating nature of fame, yet as his career flourished, he began to feel something missing: a deep sense of connection, a life outside the stage lights. As Cliff's popularity grew, so did his realization that the fame he had gained came with a price. Success offered him everything the world could see, but it took away the space for a life with someone else. That self-control he had built over the years helped him maintain his public image, but it also led to a quiet, personal loneliness. The search for love. An elusive dream. Throughout the years, the public's fascination with Cliff Richard's private life only grew. Fans and the media wanted to know if there was a woman behind the love songs he crooned on stage. Despite being charming and kind, Cliff remained reserved in his personal relationships. His first serious relationship was with Delia Wicks, a dancer who loved him long before he became a star. For a brief moment, they imagined a future together, but Cliff's burgeoning fame and the relentless demands of his career kept him from being fully present. Delia's letter years later expressed her love for him, but also her heartache. She couldn't wait for a man who loved his work more than he could love her. Faith as a guiding principle, a promise of restraint. By the time Cliff Richard's fame reached its peak in the late 1960s, he had already begun to question the emptiness that came with fame. Despite achieving everything a performer could want, sold-out tours, chart-topping hits, and worldwide recognition, he began to feel restless. In 1966, Cliff made a life-changing decision. He was baptized and dedicated himself to Christianity. For Cliff, this wasn't a passing phase or a publicity stunt. It was a commitment that would shape every aspect of his life. He began to see his career as a form of service, a way to live out his faith rather than pursue wealth or glory. This shift in perspective came with sacrifices, including the decision to forego marriage. Living with discipline. A life of restraint. Cliff's commitment to his faith led him to a life of discipline. He feared that entering into a marriage while constantly on the road would ultimately lead to failure. He didn't want to make promises he couldn't keep, so he chose restraint instead. This choice wasn't about forced celibacy. It was a conscious decision to live with purpose, focusing on his music and his faith, rather than indulging in the fleeting pleasures that fame offered. While others may have viewed his lifestyle as avoidance or isolation, Cliff saw it as a way to align his life with his values. He didn't need to explain his choices to others because for him they were rooted in a deep sense of personal conviction. Facing public curiosity, the pressure of fame. As Cliff continued his career, the pressure from the media and the public to explain his private life only intensified. Every photograph with a woman became a headline, and every friendship was dissected and speculated upon. Cliff was well aware of this, but instead of fighting back with anger or frustration, he chose to remain composed. He understood that fame invited projection, and the more he refused to explain himself, the more curious the public became. He didn't see the need to justify his choices. When asked about his relationships, he would deflect with humor or grace, choosing dignity over drama. His silence, though protective, also created a sense of loneliness that would follow him for much of his life. The cost of silence, enduring loneliness. Despite his composure and refusal to engage with the media, the constant scrutiny took its toll. The more Cliff stayed silent, the more isolated he became. His closest friends urged him to set the record straight, to explain himself to the public, but Cliff believed that truth didn't need defending. He had witnessed the destruction that fame could bring to those who tried to control their image, and he was determined not to fall into that trap. Instead of reacting to rumors, he chose to outlast them. His life, built on faith and integrity, became a quiet testament to the power of enduring silence in a world that demanded spectacle. Creating a family. A different kind of connection. Though he never married, Cliff Richard didn't live in isolation. He built a different kind of family, one rooted in faith, shared values, and enduring friendships. Cliff's home became a sanctuary for those who needed guidance, peace, or simply a quiet place to gather. His friendships, particularly with his longtime manager Bill Lamb, were built on trust, loyalty, and shared purpose. These relationships provided Cliff with the emotional support and companionship he needed, even without the traditional structure of marriage. Through mentorship and community, Cliff found the connection and belonging that fame could never provide. The legacy of loyalty. A life well lived. As the years passed, Cliff Richard's life became a testament to the power of loyalty and discipline. He never sought to explain his decisions or seek validation from the public. Instead, he focused on living a life defined by faith, purpose, and quiet strength. He remained true to his values, never compromising on the principles that had guided him from the start. While the world speculated about his personal life, Cliff built a life that was richer than any headline could capture. His story was not one of loneliness or regret, but of a man who chose to live authentically, finding companionship and love in the most meaningful ways.